Hey, everyone, it's TONYA. Welcome. I am not alone, although I almost was alone for a second there. I am today coming live with Nick Kellet, founder and CEO of Deckible, who is grabbing a deck, I'm guessing, or some kind of device to play with it. Welcome. So yeah, we're coming live to talk about OTALOCO, brand new information. But first, I want to talk a little bit about you, or rather, I want you to talk a little bit about you, because you are one of the speakers of OTALOCO. Not only are you the amazing sponsor, but you have a talk in OTALOCO, and I'm really excited because you are going to explain to the people how the hell we can have 200 decks without having 200 bookshelves. So how can we do that?
Easy peasy. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, about me, I basically invent things for a living, and I've just gone from one thing to another. That I guess I have a unique brain that sees things that are missing. So I've gone from inventing software products to I published a board game. So I play a lot of board games, a lot of Euro games. I guess that's kind of my cardboard connection. And I've started falling in love with card decks about 3 years ago, probably. And as I got more and more card decks, I realized, like, why is this not digital? It was just like, and I looked around and some people had a go at it, but no one had done it well. And I just began to really dive into that and really focus on the notion that, if we look music, where do we get our music today? Is it a CD? Is it is it a cassette? Is it an album? No, it's our phone, right? Where do we get our books from, right? We can't carry them. We have 600 books on our phone, and I know I have 750 audibles on my phone, right? So I'm like, massively using this technology because this device is with me wherever I go. And I'm basically being a digital nomad right now. I have no room for decks. My decks are all packed away at home. I have a few cards from a few decks that I keep with me just for familiarity, to have some cards to hold on to. But I don't have any physical decks because I just literally I would bust out all my bags, right? But I have them on Deckible. So yeah, I just love the idea of finding something that doesn't exist. And then I love that kind of strange expression on people's faces when I explain to them what this problem is. And a bunch of people look at me blankly, and enough people go, oh yeah. And they dive in, and we just keep, going. And we've made a party with 1,000 creators, and we've reached over we're nearly at 600 decks on Deckible to this point.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh
my God. I love,
and
I just want to interrupt you because I know that you will not say that at once, and it needs to be said. This is nothing to do with any other apps that have card decks. This is not the click on a card, click on a deck, and then one card will magically appear, and that's it app.
Right.
The app is like, it does way more than that.
Right.
And it's got one of our speakers who is an artist, she realized that, I can have that on my iPad, which means I can have bigger images. And that's part of the fun. They're even bigger than actual cards. You should think about it.
They are, and yeah, people. The funniest thing that people say to me about Deckible, they listen and they go, oh well, but I love my tactile cardboard deck. I'm like, okay, let me show you, because they haven't seen Deckible when they make these predictions. And I'm like, let me show you. I'm going to show you on an iPad, and I'm like pinching, and like, you can't stretch cards in the real world because they're made of paper, but you just literally pinch and zoom and say, this card is really big, right? This card is less important, and you can do a reading where the cards are sized appropriately. So that's, mind-blowingly exciting, and opens up new types of readings for people where cards are prioritized. We also do mixed readings. There is not a single other mixed deck app on the planet that does mixed readings. You literally have to, or else you go to one deck and it closes off everything else and you're just exclusively on that deck. You go to another deck. With Deckible, it's like, oh, card from here, card from here, card from here. Oh, shuffle it up. What do you want to do? Let me journal. Let me pinch and zoom.
It's like doing a playlist on Spotify.
Yeah, totally. Right. And the Spotify playlist is a funny thing because I was really slow to Spotify because I had such a great collection of albums and I was like, and I just was like, didn't want to move. Right. I had all my stuff digitized. I was quite happy. And then just one feature at a time, it gets to you. It's like you begin to realize the thing that really got to me was the radio station feature. Like, it's not just a playlist, but a dynamic playlist. Yeah. Play me stuff that I don't know that's similar to this. Yeah. I'm like, okay, now my music collection stays current. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm up to date. I know what's going on. I'm like, okay, that's to me was priceless. And I was like, okay, I give in. I'm on Spotify, right? So
for me, it was just the not carrying the stuff around again, because I travel a lot, and having all the music here meant so much, freedom, basically.
Exactly.
And it's the same for the decks. It's the idea that I can carry my decks without the weight, of course, but also without the necessity to have chosen beforehand which ones I want to carry with.
That's it.
Yeah? I can decide, here I am in Greece. I need something with Greek goddesses. Let me find, is there anything on Deckible? Do I already own it? No, I can buy it. It's like, it's amazing.
Because people do choose the deck they want to carry with them because that's their best yet solution. So that I can't carry my decks.
It's very heavy and cumbersome in the suitcases, and so I do that. But even if you're doing that, and again, it's like with books. I was a bookshop keeper for years, and my father was a publisher, so I was a very book person, like the real books. But it's not an either-or situation. Even traveling, I can have one deck that I particularly love to have my hands on, and 258 decks on Deckible.
Right. And like I'm a massive board game player. I own probably 100 board games. I probably have 150 card decks. It's almost too many to collect and count. I don't really want to announce the number, but
we've been kind of sharing a little too many numbers, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think I go to the 150, but I'm not far behind. And as for the board games, if you include the ones that my kids bring back home when they come, we're over you. We're a very big family of board game people. Anyway.
And for me, I think this is one of the reasons people love decks. Is they're like an affordable form of art, right? So I leave my board games out. So, I leave my card decks out because they're visually appealing. They're cathartic to me to see them, to touch them, to play them. I'm more likely to play them if I leave them out. I'm more likely to touch a card deck if I leave it out. I'm more likely if it's here, right? And I think that's the big deal, right? So, and the industry is sort of, I think, a little taken by shock that something has come around with so many decks so fast on the scale of things. And some people have just dived in. Some people fully embrace what we're doing. And other people are like, oh, no, I'm stuck good with cardboard. And that's wonderful. Those people will come around in time. I can fully empathize because that's my Spotify story. I was late to Spotify, right? And you think of everything that we've, Uber. Some people dive into an Uber. Some people, no, I wouldn't have a car that's by some unlicensed blah, blah, blah. Some people stay in Etsy. Some people buy Etsy. Some stay in Uber. Well, not Uber, Airbnb. Like, we're all different.
There's always going to be that. But, as a deck creator myself, I self-printed my deck. So it was a big thing to actually have the physical product. But it was complicated. It was expensive. It was, and now I have the decks at home, basically, right? Exactly. And I have 2 or 3 other deck projects in my head, and with Deckible, I know that I can even try them. If I can create the deck for the digital deck and see that it catches, it has success, people like it, then I can say, okay, now it's worth printing it. And I'm kind of a little annoyed that I didn't know about Deckible before I printed my deck, to be honest, because I would have done that. It's also, and I want to, raise a hand or a hat to Deckible, because every deck, as a deck creator, there is a link on every deck to go and buy the physical one if there is one. So it's not like you're, hiding or, because again, it's not an either or situation.
We're here to help artists, really. That's our mission, is to digitize all of this content and help artists who just sell art. They could just turn their art into a deck. It doesn't need to
that's
be.
the other thing that I wanted you to
Right.
explain, is that in Deckible, a card has more than 2 sides.
Oh,
This blew my head. It was like, oh gosh, there's so many things that we can do now.
Yeah, totally. And it's crazy, but since the inception of Oracle and Tarot decks, people they created the guidebook because the content wouldn't fit on side 1 and 2, right? And the guidebooks have got bigger and bigger because people are, but in this Instagram age, I guarantee you that 90% of the time, 90% of the people do not reach for the guidebook, because that's another thing to carry. And even if they have it with them, people are not, when you've got 5 cards in a reading, and you're going to really, look up 5 cards in a row. With Deckible, the guidebook is the 3rd side of every card. So you just flip it over and you've got the guidebook. There's no looking up, no flicking through, finding, waiting. It's just there. So that is quite a transformation for people to appreciate. We've got the call to prayer going off. I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh, you're in Istanbul yet? I thought you were going. I'm
still in Turkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the side 3 is the guidebook, but there is even more sides. So then you could imagine, for me, it was an immediate call to, I could have a video, I could have a playlist with each card, I could have a song, I could have a complete video course on this card. You can then start to use the card concept for pretty much anything.
Right. And you've just nailed it, because really the card deck in Deckible's mind is just a medium. It's a medium for the phone, right? And what's different is we see this huge shift from consumption, which has been the last 20 years of technology, is read, listen, watch, to actually participating. Because when you play on the phone, you can journal, you can meditate, you can pinch and zoom the cards, you can flip them over. We save every reading. So it's all there, but you're actually involved, you're doing something. So it's much more engaging, right? And people, there's an obvious association when you're playing with a card deck, right? It feels like a game. So you come at it with a mindset that this is fun.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like saying, "Oh, here's a tax return. Let's have fun with the tax return." It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But we get a
or
deck
even
out,
here's a book about, if I was thinking, about, I have a course in my head that I want to do, a program, but I was thinking I could do it as a deck, because that means that you'd say to people, okay, you go and look and read 1 card a week or something like that. And then instead of having this huge chunk of, 200 pages of explanations or lectures, then you have a deck that, kind of adds some playability and some, bite-sized information and multimedia.
Yeah,
so I love that. It's like...
We cater, and this was total accident. There's so many happy accidents in Deckible. But we didn't really appreciate to set out to create this multimedia solution, or even to create more than 2 sides. We just didn't specify that there was a limit to the number of sides. And with software, you have to specify a limit. So there was no limit. So you could add the 3rd and 4th side. And then it was like, oh, we should add audio, video. Okay. And suddenly we've created this. Every other software that I can think of is typically, you go to YouTube for video, you go to Kindle for books, you go to Audible for this, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Deckible, you've got all of that. You've got images, you've got text, you've got video, you've got audio, and you've got journaling, and you've got participation in choosing and prioritizing the cards.
Use the cards or the decks or whatever for taking notes on themselves, or if it's a program. I think to be honest, I don't think neither you nor I, for sure, have seen the end of it. It's like there's so many inventions in there that we could, imagine. And what I love is what you said about cards means play. So we go from a fun side, from a light side, not from a lecture / academic / boring / oh my God, I've got to read this thing again. I was a teacher for years. Middle school, and I'm thinking, if I was a teacher today, I would go and create a deck or a couple of decks for my students, because a 12-year-old would learn immensely from cards, so much more than from a book, even a digital book. So yes, thank you very much for the future.
Well, thank you for I was so when you reached out to me, it was such a joy, because when I was like, you told me about OTALOCO, and I was like, yes, we'll do it, whatever, tell me more. And then when I went to look at the speaker list, like, I discovered I think 3 or 4 of the speakers were already on Deckible.
Absolutely.
Which was just amazing. I think
and now there's more than, I think there's 9.
Yeah, there's 9.
Amazing.
Yes, and so 9 out of 21 speakers are on Deckible.
I think nearly everyone that has a deck is on Deckible. Now, the other thing that happens, and I'm sorry, but this is going to happen, is that the speakers that did not have decks are now considering it just for the sake of playing with Deckible. So you might have new decks coming in the next few months. But in the meantime, if you want to know more about Nick, about Deckible, and about cards and the future of card decks, you can also come listen tomorrow, as a matter of fact, in OTALOCO for free. So if you register for free, you will find the link somewhere around this video. I never know. It depends if you watch on YouTube or Facebook. And register for free, you get 23 talks, amongst which Nick's, of course, and 22 other amazing people talking about cards and the way they have decided to play with them in their lives, whether they are deck creators, card addicts, artists, illustrators, or just fanatics, because we have some very deep fanatics and readers. We have 21 possibilities for freebies. We have offers, giveaways, and we have, which is something that I really, it's very important for me, we have 7 days worth of free replays, which means, oh, hello, cat. Hello. Which means you just gained the popularity with half of our speakers.
I did.
Cat lovers.
Apparently we could go seriously viral. There's some cat content going on here.
Unplanned cat content. So we have 7 days worth of free replay, which means you don't have to stress out. You have time to come and play with us, and so many other things. So find the link, join us.
Don't forget the free Deckible deck.
Exactly. Sorry, there's so many things. Yes, absolutely. This is not, last but not least at all. Deckible is gifting every attendee a free digital deck of their choosing, not because you're going to get a deck anyway, because you have the all attendees speaker decks to get to meet of our speakers. But on top of that, you get to choose one deck in Deckible, and it becomes yours forever. So we also have the amazing TONYA Melendez coming for predictions and prophecies for 2024. We have live panels. We even have cookies, so many things, live readings, and so many amazing discoveries on cards and what they mean to people and how they impacted their stories. Voila. Thank you very much, Nick, for having me today. And I will talk to you tomorrow, basically. Okay. We'll let you get to now. Bye for now.